Photographing glass or glossy objects can be very intimidating for photographers. In fact, there are many product photographers who avoid photographing glass altogether because it's so hard to work with. However, I'm here to alleviate any stress or fears you might have with regards to photographing glass. If you're watching this video, chances are good that you're a photographer or a product photographer who's interested in learning how to photograph glass or glossy objects, a business owner who sells products that are glass, or you might just in fact be my mother. Hi, Mom. Whatever your reason for watching this video, I'm glad you're here and I'm here to show you how to photograph glass. Now, before we begin, it's important to remember that a lot of product photography is trial and error. So rather than trying to be prescriptive with how to photograph any one object, I'm going to be presenting some top-level concepts that you can apply to any glass or glossy product. The two main principles that we'll be covering in this video are cross-polarization and gradients. The first thing you're going to need is lights. I recommend having at least 4 lights to photograph your product. By using 4 lights, you'll be able to photograph the sides of the product, the back of the product, and the front and top of the product within a single exposure. Now, if you don't have a lot of lights, it's not the end of the world. You'll just have to do a little bit more work in Photoshop in order to composite those exposures together. In order to create gradients of light across your product, you're going to need diffusion. I highly recommend investing in a roll of Tough Frost diffusion from Roscoe, and I will put a link in the description for you to check out. In addition to your diffusion, you're going to need something to put your diffusion on. And for that, I recommend checking out Matthew's blade frames. If you don't want to invest in aluminum frames for your diffusion, you can always go to your local hardware store and get some wood that you can chop down to size. Other items you're going to need for your shoot are a camera, a lens, a tripod, light stands, 2 strip boxes, 1 large softbox or a large diffuser, black flag or black fabric, and a beauty dish with a grid, C-stands, and depending on the size of your product, a baby plate. In order to achieve cross-polarization, we're going to need 2 polarizers. 1 for our camera lens and 1 for our light. This is a polarizing gel and this is going to go on our beauty dish with our grid, and you can get these at B&H Photo for around $70. We're going to adhere the polarizer gel to our beauty dish using some gaffer's tape. The first thing we're going to do is get our product set up. I'm going to use a C-stand and a baby plate so that we can get nice and close to our product. Next, we're going to use a medium-sized softbox and a layer of diffusion. Now, you'll notice that I have a black flag in front of my diffusion, and you might be asking yourself, why? To which I will reply, if I know. Just kidding. So the reason why we have the black flag in front of our diffusion is because we want to create a hard white edge on the sides of our product. If we didn't have that black flag, what essentially would happen is the light would wrap around the product and it would create a really ugly looking photo. And we don't want that. Now that we have our backlight set up, let's take a test shot and see what that looks like. Nice. Next up, we're gonna need our side lights. Now, what a lot of people will do, and what I used to do when I first started doing product photography, is I would take my strip lights and I'd put them right up next to the product. Now, while this will create a highlight down the edge of your glass product, the quality of that highlight is going to be very hard. What we want to do is we want to put a layer of diffusion between our softbox and our product, and what that will do is create a nice soft gradient. Now, adding a layer of diffusion will create a gradient highlight across your product, which is what we want. But you're going to need to play around with where you put your light, how close your light is to the gradient or the diffusion, where your camera is in relationship to your product, etc., etc. Once you've done this on one side of your product, you're going to want to do this on the other side of your product. Now, there's some instances where you want the highlights to be identical. There's some instances where you want one to be smaller than the other, and you're just going to have to play around and see what works best for you and for your photo shoot. Now that we have our backlight and our side light set up, it's time to work on our top and front light. For this, we'll be using our beauty dish, our grid, and our polarizer. So what is cross-polarization and how does it help us with our glass product photography? So essentially what we're doing is we're taking a linear polarizer on our lens and we're taking a linear polarizer on our light, and we're slowly rotating either one of those to create a cross-polarization or a grid across our image. And what that grid does is it will cut out any harsh highlights or hotspots within the glass product. Congrats, we did it. We photographed our glass bottle. While some glass or glossy products might behave differently based on the shape of the product, it's important to keep in mind that these principles can be applied to just about any type of glass product. Your homework now is to practice. Practice photographing all types of glass and glossy objects so that when the time comes for a client to hire you to photograph their items, you will know what to do. Let me know in the comments what you decide to photograph using these techniques, and if you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell. It helps me tremendously, and I'll see you at the next one.